Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Real Speaking and More. This is our sixth episode, and I'm happy to have you with us. And thank you for joining us. I am Karen Koch, your host, and on this program, we seek to share with you real estate tips, and we have been doing so by inviting some very exciting guests who are players in the real estate market. Namely, we have invited an attorney before. We have invited a um, we have invited a valuation surveyor, yes, and we have had our very own realtor come and give her presentation as well. And tonight we have lined up for you um, another of our special guests, and that's a commissioned land surveyor. And tonight's topic will be the commissioned land surveyor's role in the real estate transaction. So it's the commissioned land surveyor's role in the real estate transaction. Please stay tuned.
Estate dream a reality. Making your real estate dream a reality.
Sell it, buy it, rent it, lease it.
KMC Property Services. Making your real estate dream a reality.
Hi everyone, I'm back and I'm back with tonight's quote. And tonight's quote goes like this: if you don't own a home, buy one. If you own a home, buy another one. If you own two homes, buy a third and lend your relatives the money to buy a home. And this is by John Paulson. So, what I'm gathering from John here, John is encouraging real estate investment. And I have another quote that I usually like to share as well. Real estate is the best hedge against inflation. So what we are learning from this quote is that when you buy real estate, you are in a better financial position than someone who may have spent their money unwisely on gadgets or on things that are not that don't appreciate in value readily. So definitely real estate, you can't go wrong in buying real estate and keeping it. So there are times when you buy real estate and you may have to sell it in order to acquire a better one, or you want to live in a different area, and so on. So there are varying reasons why people may have to dispose of their real estate to rather than keep it. But once you can keep it, once it's in a good area, that it that it is one of the assets that will always depreciate, that will always appreciate in value. It will not depreciate like any other, like a motor vehicle or any other equipment that you may buy and have over time. That's the only asset that you have that will, for the most part, rarely have I ever seen a real estate property or a property that depreciates in value. And there may be factors once you maintain it and so on. As a matter of fact, I have proven it myself. I remember going into a particular or selling into a particular community in Portmore, and I remember someone said to me, if anything is given away in that community, I don't want it. And I live to see. I mean, at the time when I had inventories in that particular area to sell, those units were going for like in the 3 million range. Now today, those properties are anywhere, like a 2-bedroom, anywhere between 7 and 8 million up. And that stands to reason that you can't go wrong when you buy real estate, no matter where it is. So even if, for example, you buy a piece of land, that might not be your ideal area right now that you want to invest in. You may want to, your ideal area may be Kingston, but what you can afford right now is in the rural area. So what you do, you buy your land, and if you can build on it, you build something on it to rent it out, and of course that will also add value to it as well. So you make sure that over time, when you're ready to resell that asset, right, you would have the equity that would have built up in that property would be much more than if you had kept that money in the bank. So you can't go wrong on real estate, investing in real estate. So this quote that I quoted to you tonight from John Paulson is very relevant to us, where he said, if you don't own a home, buy one. If you own a home, buy another one. if you own 2 homes, buy a third and lend your relatives the money to buy a home. So that stands to reason that people who invest in real estate over time, they are the ones who will more than likely, be people with better disposable income, and they're more financially independent than someone who um, who has not invested in real estate. I am still waiting on our guest speaker to come on. So please bear with me. I spoke with him just a few minutes ago. So I'm just gonna check just to see where he's at. Give me a few moments. Please. Or I was just speaking a while ago and I asked for a few minutes just to make contact with the guest speaker. Are you hearing me? No? Are you hearing me? Yes. So I am back now with you. So we will have him in a little while. So please bear with us again. He was coming from out of town and he got delayed. So he'll be on with us in a short while. And I'll introduce him when he's here. I don't want to introduce him while he's not here as yet. But if you have any question, you can place it in the chat and let me respond. Okay, so as I was saying before, usually you can't go wrong whenever you invest in real estate. And one of the things that I encourage for persons who have never bought a property as yet, for persons who you may be new to this real estate business, you may not have listened to our previous broadcast on, what are the 5 things, or what are some of the things you do before you attempt to purchase a property. And I'll go through as best as possible sequentially. So my name is Karen Coke, and I'm a real estate dealer and the owner of KMC Property Services. Now, whenever a prospect calls me to buy a property, my advice to that contact is, or that prospect, or my first question would be, are you already pre-approved? And my main reason for asking that question, some people might take offense to it, but there's no need to take offense to it, because if you're serious about buying a property, then you need to know where the financing is coming from. And it's important for me to know whether or not you know where the financing is coming from. And if you don't know, then my next question or my duty is to assist you in getting your financing in order. So if you have not yet identified where your financing is coming from, be it that you already have your savings, you're planning to buy the property cash, or that you're planning to access a mortgage from a financial institution, then definitely I would point you to other players in the market. So the mortgage reps. So there are many financial institutions out there, and they have their mortgage reps. So my duty is to point you to the mortgage reps. So if you're an NHT contributor and your income can only afford you what NHT is giving you, and once there are properties on the market within the price range of the NHT benefit, then certainly, you are advised to speak with an NHT rep so that they can verify whether or not you're eligible for that NHT benefit as yet, because not everyone is eligible for the full amount, dependent on your income. So once you're eligible for the full amount, and if it is two persons joining, so the maximum would be 13 million. So if it's one person, 6.5, you're buying a property, 6.5 per person, and hence if it's two persons, it's 13 million. Now, if your income can afford additional loan amount, then most definitely we will point you to a mortgage rep who will work out both your NHT portion along with whatever additional amount you can get. So that mortgage rep would do what we call or work out for you a joint finance loan. So it's between that financial institution and NHT to see the maximum you can get. So for instance, you and a partner is joining to buy a property. So both of you are eligible for 13 million. When you go to the other financial institution to check, you find out that based on your income, you can get another 4 million. So in total, the total loan amount to you both would be 17 million. So right away, as a realtor, I know what your budget is. And therefore, my duty is to now look for properties within the 17 million price range. So once I have identified something within the 17 million price range, I would send that to you. I'd set you up on my database. So set up an account for you, an individual account on our real estate database. And I would, if whatever I sent you initially, you don't like those, then, whenever new updates arrive, then you will be sent, whatever updates. And from that, that inventory, you can select, whatever option is there, and we can invite you to make an offer, or once you like it, you can make an offer. So that is something that we guide you on how to make the offer, meaning, you're sent our documents and with instructions as to how to proceed with that. So, you're not left on your own, you are guided. And, once you have any questions or any queries at all, I usually ask my prospects to feel free to contact me to assist you in completing those documents. Because I know for the most part they are straightforward, but there may be some things on it that some persons may not understand and need a little clarification on, and so on. So that's usually not a problem, and we guide you in that regard so that you can submit your offer, and your offer must be accompanied by that eligibility letter or that pre-approval letter that the financial institution will provide. So it is not, you're not left on your own, as I said before, right? You are guided. And in terms of whatever other professionals you may need to, or you're going to need, so you're going to need your valuer, you're going to need a land surveyor, commissioned land surveyor, right? So all those professionals, you can be guided in terms of getting one of those. And of course, most of the financial institutions have their panel of valuers that they prefer you to choose from, or even the value as well. So the value and the commission land surveyor, they want you to choose from their pool, those who they trust and have been using and have been getting good results. So, that is basically how it goes. And you have to know where your deposit is coming from. You need to know where, the other closing costs. So you have to pay a legal cost and so on. So those are some of the preparations that you have to put in order to buy this most important, or make this most important, or single most important transaction in your life. Yes. So I will just cut it there. Thank you all for listening. And I'll just introduce our guest now that he's here. I'll just introduce him, and then I will just hand over to him in a little while, right? So tonight, our special guest is Mr. Al Taylor. And Mr. Taylor has been a commissioned land surveyor for 14 years. And he's the managing director of Al J. Taylor and Associates. I'm just inviting you all to just make Mr. Taylor welcome. Mr. Taylor, and I'll just.
Salutations all. Sorry for, are you guys hearing me? Hearing me, Madam Cook? Hello? Hello? Hearing me? Hello? Hello? Are you guys hearing me? Right. So I'm not hearing any, not getting any feedback. Right. So I'm not hearing you guys. My audio thing is on. My speakers are to the max. All right. You think the others are hearing? Right. Right. All right. So the requirements to become a commercial land surveyor in our jurisdiction, which is Jamaica. First, we used to have what is called the apprenticeship, but since the diploma program was introduced to the then CAST, which is now University of Technology, you find that one has to attend the institution and become successful in obtaining a diploma or a first degree. Now, the diploma, since of late, has been cut out, so now it has to be a first degree. And after acquiring that first degree, that student will now will have to be attached to a commission surveyor who has been approved by the Land Surveyors Board to, to become a mentor or a principal. That person has to have their commission for a minimum of 5 years before he or she can be approved. Then that student will have to be attached to the approved surveyor for a minimum of 1 year. And then that student will have to sit what is called a viva voce and a practical. The pass mark is 66 and 2/3%, which is 67. So 67% in my opinion. So I just round it out to 67%. So that student will have to sit that exam and get that mark or more in order to become a commercial land surveyor. After being successful, it's been gazetted into the tabloids. All right, so a commercial land surveyor is responsible for land reform. So we are one of the main stakeholders when it comes down to land reform. And first, the four main components that guides us is one, we adjudicate, and adjudicate means determine who have rights to land. After we adjudicate, we demarcate on ground. That is actually marking of the property corners. And then we survey, which is locating what we have marked on ground, and then we prepare a plan. Now, whatever we do as land surveyors, it's legal binding. Hence, it's not an approximate like our valuation survey may come up with an approximate valuation. Our science has to be accurate. So in Jamaica, we deal with fixed boundaries, right? And the fixed boundaries are monumentations that we use to demarcate or mark the corners. And because we use the torrent system to register titles in Jamaica, the purpose of a land survey now becomes very important, where because the torrent system actually means we survey and then we use that survey to register a title or a property. So a land surveyor is really, you know, responsible for land reform, right? So getting the cadastre together, getting the parcels together, all lands are being accounted for under our watch. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Why is it necessary to get a surveyor's report?
All right. So in 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 my years of practice, I've found that a surveyor's report is mostly used for mortgage purposes. Now, what once the person is anyone is willing to acquire a parcel or you know any form of real estate, that person may want to take out a loan. And so the lending institution is the one that oftentimes asks for a surveyor's report, because what the lending institution wants to know is that the property that the person is purchasing is actually the property. Yes, the property is in good state. Whatever is on the title is depicted on ground, because you know that the title, we have the mirror principle. Whatever is on ground should be reflected on the title. And we have the curtain principle. Whatever is, we don't need to go beyond the title, right? Because whatever is on the title should be there as well. We have the assurance principle. Some people say assurance, some people say the insurance principle. In the event of there's a dual registration, the state will compensate you. But for surveyor's report, what the lending institution wants to know is that the land that they are going to have interest in is really there on ground. All the boundaries are intact, and so it is safe to lend you that money. Because if you should forfeit on your payments, the same lending institution will want to
So
lend money
that is for when you are buying.
when you're buying.
Yes.
But I tend to tell people that when you're selling, you don't need to do a survey as report, because they want to understand the person who is purchasing to do a survey as report. Now, a survey as report actually guides you, even in the case that you're buying, but you're buying cash. So I tend to advise people still do a survey as report, because hey, you may just pay some monies for the land that you think it's 3/4 of an acre. And in truth and in fact, some long-standing occupation has taken place over 12 years, and a piece or a sliver has been gone to adverse possession. But by virtue of you not doing a survey as a report, you didn't know what was taking place with the land, and you spent your monies, and then you find that you bought something that was short. So
Now that you mentioned something that was never touched on by any of my previous guests, adverse possession. For the benefit of my viewers, can you please explain the term adverse possession?
all right, so adverse possession is a form of occupation that you occupy land undisturbed for prescribed time. And why I choose to say prescribed time, because in our jurisdiction, Jamaica, of course, the prescribed time is 12 years undisturbed for private land. And the government of Jamaica has put their occupation time for 60 years. However, those 60 years or those 12 years can be shared. So, for instance, madam, your father could have done 42 years, and then you, as a child, come and do another 18 for the government land, and then vice versa for private land. So, it's all about just occupying land undisturbed. So, at no time anyone has come to you and said, look, hey, you're on my land, you need to get off. So, occupying the land undisturbed, peaceful occupation for that prescribed time of 12 years of private land, 60 years for government land. And the rule of thumb is that 9/10 of the law says that occupation means ownership. All right, so those who have lands unattended to, please go and take a look. All right,
And is that automatic?
it's
What do
automatic.
they?
It's
A lot
automatic.
of people would be
But,
interested in how to proceed with that, I'm
right,
sure.
pardon?
I'm sure that a lot of people who probably are sitting on some land right now that is not theirs and past that prescribed 12-year period
Yes,
made
but
girl want to know how to acquire that piece of land.
all right. The thing is, it's kind of legal binding.
Mhm.
It has some,
Yeah,
legal
man.
ramifications,
Not,
which I don't.
not to worry. You can continue with the surveying aspect of it.
Right. So what the surveyor has to do is to come in. So let me give you a perfect example. Though. You may be on a parcel that is 15 acres, but in truth and in fact, it's only 1 acre you fence off. That is what you can do the adverse possession on, what you have peacefully occupied. So you can claim the whole 15 acres. You just have to claim what you are in control of. Right? So the
Okay.
surveyor has to come, whether there's a title or not,
Mm-hmm.
and you do a survey. Now, there's this notion going around since of late that you can't do adverse possession on unregistered land. So in Jamaica, we have two types of parcel. We have registered or unregistered. Unregistered is those that don't have a title. Now, I was informed years ago that adverse possession came about by virtue of people occupying unregistered lands. And there are some law attorneys who think that we can't adverse unregistered land. The land has to be titled first. And I was duly informed, no, nothing like that. You understand? But so for adverse, we do the survey, you seek the services of an attorney, you get it endorsed on the tax roll, and you do your title by adverse.
Okay. All
Right. So
right. What what other purpose does a surveyor's report serve?
all right. So sometimes it's accepted in the court of law, where if there's an encroachment issue and one wants to settle that dispute, the judge will sometimes accept it. But it all depends on the discretion of the judge, because some judges may just ask for a pre-check plan, because the accuracy of a surveyor's report is not as of a high standard of that of a pre-check plan. So everything just depends on how the judge feels, right?
Okay.
So right. So the surveyor's report can use in the court of law because a legal binding thing. However, bear in mind that the surveyor's report has an expiration time of 1 year for most
Okay.
institutions and for 6 months in other institutions, right?
Okay.
While a pre-check diagram done by a commission land surveyor has a life of 7 years. So after 7 years, if you haven't done anything with a pre-check plan, then you have to do a statutory declaration. While a surveyor's report only going to last about a year. But the surveyor's report is good for mortgage purposes, good for use in the court of law.
Okay. What as you explained that to me a while ago about that period, it sort
Yeah.
of jumps out at me. If it's just land that you have there, I'm just kind of wondering, it's not a property that is developed wherein a house was built on it or anything of the sort. So if it's just land, why is it necessary to 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 um to have or why is the period for the surveyor's report so short?
All right. So let me explain something to you now. When a surveyor does a surveyor's report, it means that the surveyor has to check the boundaries, right? And state what is going on with the boundaries. Good. Now, remember that a boundary line is common to two parties or more. Now, say for argument's sake, I had a wire fence right here on one side of the property, right? Which is contiguous between you and I. But you decided to build a concrete wall in 6 months. The dynamics of the land has changed.
Oh.
Because when you pull down that wire fence, you
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily gonna put that wall where the fence was. You understand? And that wall may even straddle the registered boundary.
But aren't you supposed to put some pegs there?
Right, but there, Jamaicans stay. A lot of Jamaicans tend to cut things short, don't want to use a surveyor for whenever they want to fence their property because they think that the fees for surveying is expensive. And then when they make the mistake, the correction is far more expensive. The surveying fees wasn't even 1/10 of the cost to do the correction. You understand? So it's just like a perfect example. I charged a lady $40,000 to pay her bounties in Harborview the other day. And when I went back there and looked at it, I went and repegged back the boundaries. And when I looked at it, she didn't follow the pegs. She knocked
Wow.
out the pegs to put a wall column when she should have put the wall column behind the peg.
Oh, Lord.
So she was not prepared to give up an inch of the land. So what's the sense of pegging back the boundaries?
And in the event that she wants to sell that property, she's in problem because the boundaries
Well, the
are out of
property
whack.
can be sold as the state that it is now.
Huh?
The property can be sold in the state that it is now
Oh, dear.
because the wall meanders the registered line.
Wow. All right. So, my next question to you, why are there sometimes variations of the information documented on the surveyor's report from one surveyor to the other?
That's really a good question, and it's really sad to say that interpretation is key, right? And this is a question that are really bold for me to say where, but let me just put it this way: interpretation is key, and one needs to read and understand what he or she as a surveyor is checking against. Now, for argument's sake, at the back of a surveyor's report, there are additional notes that states that if the building is within 6 inches of any breach, so to speak, that building shall not be constituted as a breach. So if the covenant says that no building shall be closer than 5 feet to the registered line, and I go there and I measure 4 feet 6 inches, that report is still good. And many of our colleagues don't take notes of that note around the back. And I've seen in the past where surveyors reports have been bounced at that, and I have let it through as a clean report.
Wow.
And when I say to the surveyor, look here, you didn't take note of the back of the report himself, it must be one of his agents that did it.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't hear that clearly.
it must be one of his agents that did it.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so what I'm saying that someone who works for me can be an agent, all right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but training
Mm-hmm.
must be done in such a manner that it must be simplified that your student understands, a layperson understands. Now, I may go to a property and I see where this covenant says that the gate must open inwards
Mm-hmm.
and not outwards.
Mm-hmm.
But if I should go to that property and I see that gate can open both inwards and outwards, why should I write on the surveyor's report that the gate can open inward and outwards? The gate could have been built in such a way that the person decide whenever they are home, they open it inwards. Another surveyor writes, the gate can open outwards. No, you're just complicating the thing. You understand what I'm saying? Now, um, when I do a surveyor's report, because we as surveyors, we don't necessarily have to go on the inside of the house. But if I'm not sure that, I'm just giving a scenario where things can vary. If I'm not sure about the amount of floors that the building carries, then I just write multi-story. Another surveyor may do it down the line or did it before, got the chance to go in the house and wrote 3 stories. You understand what I'm saying? While
Okay, so it's a situational thing then.
so it's about interpretation and how one
The
views it.
factors that exist
Right,
when
right. And as surveyors,
a particular value surveyor goes to a property.
right. And as surveyors, we are fact finders. So we must just state the facts and let the legal team work. In terms of distance measurement though, so I may go do a surveyor's report today and I measure 125.6. Another surveyor goes out and measures 125.4. Now, instrumentation may cause that. So a surveyor may be using a 30-second instrument, which is within the tolerance. I may be using a 1-second instrument, which is still within the tolerance. And this is why surveyors reports are done to plus or minus 2 feet.
Okay.
You understand? But it's all about interpretation. Interpretation is the only thing I can just say that causes differences in surveyors report. And the other thing is, sometimes surveyors try to bend reports for friendship. And that shouldn't be so. Be truthful as a surveyor, state the fact, let the report stand on its own, treat it accordingly, get the different modifications to be done, if it needs so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I can see the work of a surveyor is no walk in the park. It's a job that you have to tread a very thin line.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So how does that impact the property buyer or seller if the report is erroneous? And what redress will the client get?
All right. So when we charge for a surveyor's report as a surveyor, our percentage is 0.3% of the value of the property. And we may give a discount. Now, when a surveyor errs, that surveyor is liable for a lawsuit. And the surveyor is not normally sued for the monies that he charged.
Wow.
He's sued for the value of the property.
Wow.
Right. So if say for argument's sake, I went and I produced a surveying error and caused the sale to fall through, and the client ordered another survey and realized that I was in error, I can be sued for the amount that was the property would have been sold for. Likewise, if the bank disbursed money based on my report, right? Sorry, that is in error, I can be sued by the lending institution for whatever monies they had lent on.
Wow. If I had thoughts of becoming a surveyor, I've changed my mind.
There's no need to change your mind because I have worked on surveyors reports that I have lost, I have gained, and let me explain to you. So there's a particular report that I charged $75,000 for in the Barbican area. Went to the property first and unearthed some errors, discrepancies. But that one trip couldn't have solved the problem. I went back a second time, thought I gathered more information.
As I said, you are fact finders.
Right. Couldn't have solved the problem. What I had to do, because in surveying we work from the whole to the part. Right? So we work from the whole to the part. So what happened now? I had to get the parent title of what the land used to be first, and then come off the outer boundary. And that's acres of land.
Wow.
Then 3 trips by the time I pay the workmen, this, that. But guess what? Due diligence is what is important when doing a survey.
Key.
Yes. So it's best to go back several times, do the job properly, and just call it a day. Because good
Wow.
referrals will give you a good spin
Yeah,
on it.
man, good referrals. I mean, your job will sell you, will market you.
Right. So, you know, it's just to go back, do the work properly.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
My next question, I think you answered it already. I was about to ask the consequence he or she faces, but you say lawsuit. What about if you fail to report a breach and it is later discovered?
Same lawsuit.
Same lawsuit. Okay. And same thing with the wrong pegs in the boundaries. Same thing too.
Wrong pegs. Let me tell you. You have two type of surveyors, right? You have the ones that are sued and the ones that are yet to be sued. Yes, it's true. But I have never ever seen a surveyor, and then I say that it hasn't happened. I have never seen a surveyor, doing a wrong pegging and being sued for it. I've seen them being sued for surveyor support because monies were already disbursed for the surveyor support. For pegging now, it's not really money being disbursed. So what the surveyor needs to do after realizing that he or she did a wrong pegging, they just do the correct pegging and just pay for the charges to fix the title. Don't let the person
Oh,
call you 2 times and say, look here. If someone calls me now and said, Taylor, you did a wrong pegging, best believe by the next 3 days, I am there to investigate it. I am not going to allow you to call me a second time and say, look here, you have pegged it wrongly. Because walls may be under construction. So if I go back and revisit and realize that I've pegged it wrongly, then all right, I'll do the correct pegging and I'll stand the cost of knocking down what was built already and for rebuild it. It's much cheaper
okay.
than to be sued. So I've never seen a survey being sued for wrong peg.
Okay, great.
Right.
All right, so what are the requirements to subdivide a parcel of land and approximately how long it takes for the subdivision of a small parcel of land?
All right. So you have to tell me is it rural or is it urban?
Oh, that will determine the duration
Yeah.
and the requirements?
Yeah, and the size of the land. Yeah.
So
But
this is
let me give you.
a small parcel of land.
All right. So let me just give you a quick synopsis of. Let me just give you a basic idea. So the first thing, if you want to subdivide the land, you have to know what the purpose of the subdivision. Is it for residential? Is it for commercial? Or is it for farmstead, homestead, whatever? Because all of these different purposes carry a specific size. Good? But first and foremost, you have to check the outer boundary of the parcel that you want to subdivide. Right? Now, bear in mind that you have to have a registered title because you cannot subdivide unregistered land.
Okay.
So if the land doesn't have a title has to be generated for it first and foremost. Good. After that is done, if you have a registered title, whatever purpose you want the land to be subdivided for, whatever parish you want it to be done for, you have to go to that municipality, right? That municipal corporation and submit what is called a proposed subdivision because you're doing a proposal. So this is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing a 2-lot subdivision. I'm proposing a 3-lot subdivision. I'm proposing a 10-lot subdivision. So the surveyor has to do up that proposed subdivision for you after he or she has done the outer boundary checks and whatever, and do all the requirements that is right, and then give back that plan to you. You as a client sign it, survey has to sign it, that date has to be on it, and that plan is submitted. If it's a client and parish, it has to be submitted to the Clarendon Municipal Corporation. If it is Saint Anne, it's so the Saint Anne. Manchester, the same. That plan now goes to a subdivision committee meeting. And if all the requirements are met, then you will be granted an approval. But these parish councils now, they send the subdivision to the various stakeholders like Ministry of Health, the fire department, um, based on the quantity and the size.
NEPA is involved as well.
NEPA will be involved. So anything that is 10 lots and above, NEPA has to be involved.
So what kind of estimated period are you looking at?
All right. So estimated period. Well, the legendary PJ Patterson said that no subdivision process should pass 9 months. I'm yet to see that happen. I would safely tell someone if they
So what has been the average period for us?
average period to me is 1 year to 15 months.
Oh my
That
God.
I would tell some, yeah. No,
Oh my God.
yeah, man, and that's what I tell people.
And that is for both large and small,
Yeah.
or a small?
I would say for both, but most of the times when it is so drawn out that it takes 2 years or more, is because all the requirements are not met. However, that proposed subdivision process or approval is just one part of it. That is just the first stage. After you have gotten the proposed subdivision approval from the parish council, the surveyor now has to go back on ground and peg out the respective lots, and then do what is called now a subdivision plan. Not a proposed subdivision anymore, but now a subdivision plan. And that plan now is submitted to the Survey Department of Jamaica, which is a division of the National Land Agency, for what is called a rigorous check, because that will now form the cadastre of Jamaica. Once that is approved, then that plan can be used to generate splinter titles. So you take that approved plan to the attorney, and the attorney will generate splinter titles.
Wow. So the job of a commissioned land surveyor is a very involved one.
Very involved. We are overworked.
What advice, my final question to you, what advice would you give to someone who wishes to enter the land surveying profession?
Right now, if the person is able-bodied, I would say to them, come on. It's a profession. It's a good one. Come on and join, because we are short as surveyors in this country.
Wow.
It's like when you can find over 2,000 attorneys. If you can find 150 commissioned land surveyors in Jamaica, and remember, at least 50%, has passed over there.
Wow.
So we are short. There's a need for commercial land surveyors, and the few that are left, we are overworked.
So what?
It's a good profession.
What is the school or the authorities doing to attract people to this, lucrative field? I would imagine. Yes, it's a field that can be a little what's the word? You may want to fear, what will come. But of course, if you get the proper training and you, as you rightly say, you're a good student and you learn the rudiments of the job, then you should be proficient at it enough so that you don't attract lawsuit onto yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing about this noble profession,
Mm-hmm.
it requires a lot of work. So we traverse a lot of terrains.
So you're a man of the earth. You're a man of
We
the
work on,
earth.
yes, yeah, we work on the adversities because even in the sewer pits we have to work. That's
Wow.
part of our job, yes.
Okay.
Right. So we work in the sewage system. We are responsible for engineering surveys, laying out the roads, setting out the buildings, everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Sorry.
mm-hmm.
So the thing is, these younger folks, as they leave the university, they feel as if the money should just come like that. So no one is willing to spend time to be trained and to learn the craft and to stamp their class and authority. You
Mm-hmm.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
On the wider society. They just feel as if, hey, I have a first degree surveying, my salary starts at $150,000. So the first thing that a student comes on, when the student is being interviewed, and said, what's your expectation? I
Mm-hmm.
hear $150,000. Now this person don't even know how to draw even a basic topographical plan, not
Wow.
know how to calculate the first angle to turn out there.
But isn't there a base salary then set? Can't that be set then? So at least.
Um, the thing is, salary cannot attract in land surveying. Most of the land surveyors in this world are country boys like myself. Yeah. And land surveying, I think, should be introduced to the schools at high school level. Because when I even go to my, alma mater and I talk about land surveying, it sounds strange because when I left high school, I didn't know anything about land surveying. I wanted to be a cop or a surveyor. That's how all who grew up in the country knowing about the police force, the army, teacher, doctor, attorneys, whatever. That's all we
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So in order to attract more people, I think we need to sell the profession more to the high school.
Indeed. 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 So as somebody, do you I know you're a very busy person and everything, but I know that schools tend to have career days, but they may not think of this as a career, as you rightly said, the ones that are upfront, the lawyer, doctor, and policeman and nurse and all of that. But I think, do you teach at any of the universities? Well, UTech is the one that offers the course, right?
UTech is the one that offers a course in Jamaica.
Mm. Yes. Are
We
you
can,
a lecturer there?
no, I'm not. I'm not. My plate is full. So since 2012, I have been grooming
Mm-hmm.
students, aspirants
Mm-hmm.
for the commission exam, and I think I've attained at least 80% pass mark for all of those who got commissioned since 2012 until now.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're attached to you to become.
no, they are not attached to me. So even principals who have students setting up car will call me and say, look here, I'm sending my student to you for you to, because I have coaching classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's your kind of outreach. You want to
that's my
call
kind
it?
of outreach, yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
have coaching classes for those who wanna sit
Mm.
the exam and it's going well.
Okay. Okay.
So
Wow. You make me feel like I want to be a surveyor right now.
it's never too late because you have the GIS
This,
aspect of it.
despite the risk, the high risk.
Yeah, but remember you have the GIS aspect of it, so you don't necessarily have to go to the field because GIS is taking over the world now.
Okay. Okay.
Right? But you're still going to have the foot soldiers like myself that
Mm-hmm.
goes out there and do the
Right. 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 All
the
right.
farm.
I think I have exhausted you. I don't know if there's anything else about the profession that I may have omitted that you may want to share.
All right, so I'm not trying to sell the profession really. All I'm trying to say to anyone who is, who has joined this medium that, look, hey, whenever you need to know anything that's happening with your property, please require the services of a surveyor and obtain the services of a surveyor. Please, I ask of you because the corrections are very costly. Don't try to avoid a 40 or a $75,000 today, and then it costs you over $3 million tomorrow, right? Anything you want to do with land, just remember that the surveyor is the first point of contact, the first one in and the last one out. We are
Wow.
responsible for engineering surveys, that's the setting out of building, roads, canals, just about anything to do with engineering surveys. We are responsible for topographical surveys that show the contours of the land, all the natural and the man-made features of the land, anything that is on the land. We are responsible for that. We are responsible for cadastral surveys, which is the same thing as boundary surveys. Boundary. We peg back your boundaries, we find back your boundaries, boundaries that your grandfather left 25 years ago, 50 years ago. It is our responsibility. Lands that you cannot find. So before you start building a fence, require the services of a commissioned land surveyor. We are also responsible for hydrographical surveys. So when you see the ships coming to the harbor, the dredging of the harbor the other day, we had to set the levels for the seabed to determine how much large ships can come in. So we work with the seabed as well. All right. And the other things like surveyors reports. So I'm just asking you guys, just try your best. Just like when you have a doctor in your pocket, try and have a surveyor in your pocket. You
All
understand?
right.
It's very important. All right?
Thank you so much
You're
again
most welcome.
for having, taken up the charge to come and to, give us this very interesting, informational, educational, um, these tips on what we need to do to know about the job of the commissioned land surveyor.
Right.
It's such an involved career,
It
and
is.
a very important aspect of the real estate transaction that, I mean, we had to have you on to really share with us. Thank you once again, Sir
Thanks.
Taylor, at such short notice. And
I'm always at your disposal, madam. So,
all right, all the very best.
right? So,
Mhm.
so just feel free to call upon me anytime. I'm more than willing to share.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah? All right?
All right, thanks again.
Take care.
You too. So, everyone, we have come to the end of another broadcast, and I'm gonna invite you to share, to like and um, make sure that you are a part of the YouTube channel as well. So thank you once again for coming, and I trust that you have learned something from what Mr. Taylor has imparted to us, right? And I'm going to feel free to go back to the broadcast. Anything that you may have missed out on, you can feel free to go back. So please subscribe, share, like my channel, KMC Property Services. And we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Thank you once again for coming and have a good night.